Hello, we're live. How's everyone going? Welcome. This is the second late night 99 live in a series of lives, and unfortunately, my career is over. Um, and there are a few reasons for that, but notwithstanding those reasons, I have some baby parrots that we're hand rearing at the moment, and they're being quite noisy. So I'm actually going to go and shut that door. I'll be right back. I know, career-ending stuff. All right, let's see. Why is your career over? Why is my career over? I am being clickbaity and facetious is why my career is over. It's not over. Um, but I think ultimately there's there's still a window open. Hold on. We have a haberdashery of animals here. I think. Um, we may have up to 50 animals living on this property at the moment. So pardon the noise. You probably can't even hear it. It's a directional mic, but whatever. So after the last live, I shared it on Twitter. The best place to get honest and helpful and accurate feedback on your on what you're doing. And another filmmaker who's doing some great things, and I do admire in their own way, gave me some feedback after the live and on how my career was going to end by supporting certain filmmakers or by even mentioning other filmmakers who maybe have controversial viewpoints or make controversial films. And yeah, so unfortunately for me, the fact that I support or talk about filmmakers who may have different viewpoints than what the cultural zeitgeist says is you're allowed to have or you should have means that my career will be over, because the Hollywood producers and the Hollywood distributors are going to go and see what I'm talking about and see who I retweet or who I talk about on my lives and condemn me for that. No, that was just literally a way to get people to click on this live. So apologize for the use of clickbait, but there were a few things in the last 2 weeks since I've gone live that I wanted to talk about. This won't be a super long live. I'll probably be only here for, I don't know, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, but we'll just chat about some of the things that are going on in the filmmaking space. And I think maybe more specifically, I wanted to emphasize the idea of sustainable filmmaking, or just some tips and ideas on how to be successful when you're making low budget films or when you're making independent films on YouTube. So I think that's going to be really helpful. Could be some really helpful advice. Some comments here, shot by shot. Hey man, I've never heard of ending of supporting a controversial director could end your career. This is something very specific that I'm referencing, but I think what the other filmmaker who voiced these concerns or these criticisms was referring to was particularly filmmakers or figures who have conservative or right-leaning tendencies, that can be a bit of a career killer. And to be honest, it really kind of is, but only if you let it, if that makes sense. So I'm thinking off the top of my head, I think from memory, people like maybe Rainn Wilson, who was Dwight in the US Office, people like Mel Gibson. He did Passion of the Christ, and he also did he made some pretty terrible comments about race and I think a few other things. And I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's up to each individual person who's trying to make a career or making films. It's up to each individual person how you let how much you let your personal opinions or your personal takes on the world, your worldview, your bias, how you let that into your filmmaking career. Because ultimately, I think there's sort of two ways that you can go about it, or two ways that you can approach this topic. The first is you can go, well, my worldview or my biases or my perspectives are really important, and they are. It is important to get a message across with the media that I'm making or the film that I'm making. And in some cases, there may be a time or a place for that, or it may be important. But I think I land more in the other camp, where I feel like my personal beliefs, my personal biases, my personal opinions don't really have a place on my YouTube channel or on my films, or amongst my films. From time to time, there'll be, obviously, the perspective you come from is going to inform the stories that you tell, and I think that that's not, and that's going to happen, and you sort of have to recognize that. But I think at the end of the day, the films that I'm making because I want to entertain people, and that's sort of where it starts and stops for me. Is that my films and my filmmaking career, whatever you want to call it, exists so that I can make entertaining films and tell interesting stories, not necessarily stories that I identify with on an ideological level, because there's like I've made a film about a serial killer that went and massacred women and babies and dragged them into the woods to later be abducted by an alien, right? That's Offerings for My Friend, one of the like a found footage film I did. I don't want to go and kidnap babies and kill women and children and drag them into the woods, and I don't believe in aliens. Is like, I think the media and the art that someone makes should be separated from the person, to a certain extent, as from the perspective of an audience member watching. And then also, as the filmmaker, I think you need to separate yourself from your art sometimes. Otherwise, I would just be making films about like social welfare and helping people in the community, right? Like, or family. I think sometimes it's important to make that distinction for yourself. So that's my little and long answer to your question. I think some, like, your people that complain about cancel culture, I think, don't really understand how the world works. And the reason I'm saying that is we have free speech, but we don't have freedom from the consequences of our speech. So if you're going to go and say things on an online forum that exists forever that are offensive to people in our current culture, you have to be prepared for the fact that you might have consequences in that people might not watch you anymore, or people might say to their friends, "Oh, you shouldn't watch that guy," or "Oh, that person said this really gross thing," or "That person made a film that um, that used slurs," or whatever the offense is. I think it's important to understand that there are consequences for your actions as an artist, and you might be prepared to embrace those and deal with that, or you might decide, hey, I want to be steering clear of some of those topics, or some of those or saying some of those things. So Shot by Shot says, personally, I try to separate the art from the artist. I enjoyed the Flash movie, and even though the actor did some bad stuff to kids and women. Yeah. So, and it's up to everyone, as every individual person, as an audience member, and a consumer, because that's what this is, right? It's a product that you're selling. It's up to each person whether you go and consume that product or not. And I think you're well within your rights to go, you know what? I don't want to watch Roman Polanski films because he did X, Y, Z, or I don't want to watch Mel Gibson films because I think that man might be a racist. You are totally entitled to do that. And I think it's like all the more power to you. I would probably fall into that boat for some people as well. There's some people that I just don't want to support, and I think that's okay. Like, I'm probably not going to go and watch a Matt Walsh film because of where I land on some issues, or because of how I feel about the way that he communicates things, or represents information. That doesn't mean that everyone else needs to, but that also doesn't mean that Matt Walsh needs to not make films because I don't like them, you know. But the point, coming full circle, really, I think that filmmaker was correct. I think they were misinformed about me because I don't politicize my art in any way, shape, or form. I think because I mentioned Cody Clark in my last stream, he was cautioning me that that I may end up getting cancelled for saying a man's name. But unfortunately, I just said Matt Walsh, so I feel like my career might be over then anyway. But let's move on from that fun, exciting topic. There's 5 of you here. Hello. Welcome. If you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing to our channel and supporting us. You may want to consider jumping over to our Patreon. It's free. If you want to have some more of the benefits, you can pay me $2 a month and go in the draw to win some prizes and get exclusive behind the scenes content. There's a couple of really cool things on there at the moment, including the 2 new films that'll come out this October. So if you want to see them early, jump on there. Hey, Matt Walsh comments. Matt Walsh is an important filmmaker, even though many people disagree with him. It's important that he's able to give his perspective. Yeah, sure. I think the more voices you have out there and the more people sharing their takes or their opinions or whatever, the better, because that improves conversation and discussion. And taking all the bias, Madrill's here. Where I come from, and this is maybe a tangent, and in the analytics, this is where everyone's going to drop off, right? So hang in there for like a minute. I'm a social worker by trade. That's my day job. I go out and I work with unhoused people in the community and help them access housing. That's my job. So a big part of training and preparing to be a social worker or working in the community services is that you need to have the self-awareness and recognize your biases, and then set them down for a minute, because what you're about in social work isn't imposing your, like, if you're a religious person, you don't go to social work so you can proselytize, right? And or if you have views around sex and gender that are conservative, your job as a social worker isn't to go to someone who's non-binary or transgender or has an alternative sex or gender identity. It's not your job to go to that person and say, hey, you need to align yourself with my view. That's just not appropriate, right? So I think I've sort of carried that on through to my filmmaking and my art. It's, in my opinion, at this point in my life, it has no, like, I don't have any message that I feel like I need to get across. I'm doing this for me. It's therapy. It's enjoyment. It's for the love of the art of filmmaking. That's why I do these things. I'm not doing them to with any particular agenda. But yeah, you might be able to find one if you look hard enough, but it's unconscious, I promise you. In the absence of any more comments or input into that discussion, I'll move on. There's a few really cool things that are happening in the filmmaking space at the moment online. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Joel Haver. He released his latest film in his 12 features called, oh crap, I forgot the name of it. All right, let me look it up real quick. I watched about half of it. I've not fully finished it. Someone beat me to it in the comment. Hiccups. That's right. I thought I had echoes in my mind for some reason. So Hiccups. My Lord, you need to go and watch Hiccups. I don't know how this man does it. In 3 weeks shooting around New York, he has managed to create the perfect rom-com. And just prepare yourself if you do go and watch it and check it out. There are fourth wall breaks. It's cheesy as hell. It's very funny. There's a lot of talking, but it is fantastic. I've watched maybe 80% of it. I've not had a lot like this is how I consume media these days because I'm so busy. And starting next week, I'm picking up a second job. So I'm going to be working 7 days a week and then doing filmmaking and not sleeping. But what was that? Yeah. So when I'm watching films at the moment, I watch them in like my lunch breaks. So I'll go watch 30 minutes of the film and then come back to it later, watch the next bit. Or if it's a particularly talky film, I sit my phone face down in the car and listen to the audio. That's actually how I consumed Caleb Robinson's film Hotel. Is I listened to it, then I watched the whole thing later. But Hiccups was amazing. The cinematography is mind-blowing, which is a trend. Moving across into the other film that came out recently last Monday, Goody Two Shoes, which I also highly recommend. So this is Dan Lotz's comeback film after a long hiatus. It felt long, but it was really only a couple of months before, where prior he was releasing a feature film every month, basically, which is, I don't know how this person does it, but Goody Two Shoes was fantastic. It's a crime caper. It's a comedy, but I have to say the plot twist at the end of Goody Two Shoes absolutely threw me for a spin. I had no idea about the plot going into it, and as I was watching it, I was enjoying the film, but I can tell you now, after watching it a second time the whole way through, knowing the plot twist at the end, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Knowing the plot twist at the end makes it so much more rewatchable. The rewatchability goes up 10, 20 times. It's a absolutely fantastic movie. You should definitely check it out. And the one thing that I love about a lot of Dan's films is how it speaks to me as a filmmaker. I think anyone who's a filmmaker, anyone who's a artist in this space, whatever you're doing, whether you're a cinematographer, writer, director, and editor, if you watch some of these films in Dan's filmography, it is going to speak to the very heart and soul of what you're doing in that filmmaking space. And in particularly, Goody Two Shoes spoke to the writing process, which and the buddy writing process. I was so heavily identifying with the characters the second time through watching, because the first time I had no idea where it was going. Like there was these references to and there was a MacGuffin in the film that was a script binder, right? But my goodness, okay, I'm finding it really hard not to spoil it. I'll probably do another video on my main channel. This is my only channel. I don't have a main channel. I'm an idiot. On like a video, not a live, talking about Goody Two Shoes with spoilers. But if you're a writer or you write films with your friends, or you sit down, stay up late at a library or on Discord with your mates writing, this is the film that you're going to identify with. It's fantastic. And again, the link between these two films, Hiccups and Goody Two Shoes, is the cinematography. The cinematography was absolutely mind-blowing. Like earlier in Dan's career, Joel Dick, his cinematographer, it was more obvious when Joel was shooting the films and when Dan was shooting the films, because Joel had a different set of skills and a different visual language than Dan. But my goodness, I think that Dan is overtaking Joel in my personal rankings of which cinematographer I prefer in a $5 film school film. So that was a long time talking about the $5 film school, but my Lord, you need to watch that film. And there's another one coming out next week. There's another one coming out the week after that. This team is releasing 5 films, feature films, over 5 weeks. So I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have spaced them out way, way more. But I don't know how you've managed to edit them all, man. But amazing, amazing work. Here's some comments. Goody Two Shoes, great film. Agree. Yeah, I watched The Guy Who Makes a Lot of Features. I want to watch Hiccups soon. Yep, that's one way to refer to Joel Haver. I think the special thing about Joel Haver is the way the authenticity in which he approaches his fame or his YouTube career is just really inspiring. And I think that to a certain extent, he's inspired a lot of what I want to be like on this channel and on the internet. But yeah, really, really, really inspiring stuff. And when are you guys going to collab? Talking about Joel Haver or the $5 Film School? Because if you're talking about the $5 Film School, hopefully soon. If you're talking about Joel Haver, probably never. But never say never. I was close, and by close I mean I asked and he responded and said very nicely no. Close to getting Joel Haver to be in Marana, so that was very exciting for me. But it was unfortunately a no due to Joel's personal circumstances at the time. But I think if the timing was different, which is at least what he was saying, if the timing was different, it may have been a different outcome. And in terms of the $5 Film School, yeah, soon. We are working on something that may happen or may not happen. And I am planning a trip to the States. I don't know when, but I'm planning a trip to the States, which I can't afford right now. Unless I should start a GoFundMe. If you guys would fund me to go to the States, I would go, but doubt it. So I'm planning to go to the States, probably to and then land in either Washington or Chicago. I'll rent a vehicle that I will probably be sleeping in, and I'll drive and visit all the filmmakers in the States, probably in the western side of the States. It'll probably be like a Washington, Chicago trip, and work with the RC Films and the Doomed guys and the $5 Film School guys. So that's my plan anyway. So we'll see how that goes. If I can save up all my money. We need to do a collab. Yeah, I am going to be I'm going to be working on more anthology films. There may be an anthology film coming out in the next little bit on the channel, but as I work on those more and as I sort of get better at it, I'll definitely be doing another big one soon. I'm doing smaller ones at the moment because Marana just wiped me out for nearly a year of filmmaking. Just demolished me. So I'm gonna need a breather from big anthologies, but I'll do some smaller ones. Chicago's close to the East Coast. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. All I know is Chicago is in driving distance from Washington, unless it's not. Lachlan, can you educate me? I'm good at geography, but like world geography, United States geography, I'm not good at. So, all right. Well, in any case, I've covered my controversies for the last week. Crazy, right? Controversies for me. I've covered films that have come out that I think are really cool. Hopefully there'll be some more, some horror adjacent films, some Halloween films. Oh, Ghoul Capone. If you guys haven't heard of Ghoul Capone, 4 days to drive across. Are you kidding me? Oh no, it's not Washington DC. It's Washington State. Just to clear that up. But anyway, where am I at? Okay. So before I finish up, I wanted to talk about some of the things that are going on Late Night 99, which is exciting. So we last month released a film that I didn't direct. Chicago's closer to New York. Washington State is on the West Coast next to California. So yeah, 4-day drive. Sweet. So I guess I'm doing a 4-day drive or picking one or the other. I don't really know. We'll see. Last month I released a film that I didn't directly make, I was somewhat involved in the in the early stages of the production of that film. And what I mean by that is I signed a non-disclosure form. I got to read the script and talk to the director about it. I worked with Vicky, the director, on some other films as well, 2 other films, and Ripples is what came out of that. So we released Ripples on our channel last week, which if you haven't seen, last month, I mean, not last week, you should go and check it out. Ripples is awesome. It's very emotional. It's stirring, and it also has a great plot twist. A lot of her films are very inspired by M. Night Shyamalan. So definitely go and check it out. Ripples also stars Luke Costa, who was in another one of my films, Seclusion, which was awesome, and Loving Memories, 2 other ones. Luke Costa is an amazing actor. I think this man actually has retired from acting. I tried to get him to come back and do like some interviews, but yeah, so Luke Costa absolutely crushed it in that film, and you definitely need to check out Ripples. But what I'm sort of getting at is I don't think I have it in me to work a full-time job plus overtime and then do releasing a film every single month and then a video every single week. I might be able to do it, but I would die in a car wreck from exhaustion or lose my marriage. I'm not going to lose my marriage, but it's a lot. I'm doing weekly videos, and the videos that I'm doing are not like low effort videos. It's lives are low effort because I'm just chatting with you guys, which is cool. But the short films and feature films that I'm doing, they take a lot of time. But like on average per film would be probably about 100 hours, maybe plus, filming and editing the film. And then for feature films, it'd be even longer. I'm a fast editor, but there's a lot of passes that I do on these films. So what I'm exploring is what it would look like to connect with filmmakers who are still very close to what I'm doing with my filmmaking, still very close to the films that are on my channel. Like I'm not going to start releasing like YouTube kids stuff, but I'm talking to some filmmakers about using Late Night 99 as sort of like a distribution platform for them. But I'm mindful, I've seen it happen with other filmmakers or other channels where they just start. I'm sweating. It's hot here, guys. Okay. I hope it's cold. Is it cold in the States? Because that's where I want to be right now. It is so hot here. Oh my gosh. And it's not even summer. But what I'm getting at is I'm going to start slotting in there and distributing films that I didn't directly make, but I don't want to just cold drop them on my channel. I want to sort of introduce the films and introduce the filmmakers. Ripples was a test run, and one of the films coming out in October I worked on as a part of the crew, but I didn't direct. So there's still a close connection I have to this film. It's called In the Pitch Black. But I'm going to be getting these directors in to do interviews, like director interviews, where we discuss filmmaking, a bit like Film Courage. If you're a filmmaker and you watch YouTube, you've seen Film Courage videos, or like the GQ videos where they like talk to the director or the actor about their filmography. I want to do some stuff like that with these filmmakers that I'm collaborating with and working on distributing their films and marketing them on Late Night 99. I also want to introduce their faces to people, so it's not just a stranger made this film. But if you're following along, you're going to get to hear about the journey and watch the film, and then they may end up. These are people that I very, very truly can see myself or have worked with in the past as well. So that's sort of a simultaneous goal for me, where my primary goal is to make films and release them for people online, release them on YouTube, and build an audience here. A secondary goal is to work on uniting and meeting with and the networking aspect in my local filmmaking community, because it's there, it exists. People are doing stuff. They're doing cool things. They're making really sick videos and really sick films. And I want to smush them together and work simultaneously with local filmmakers and do really cool things with them, because I don't want to have to fly to the States to make a a face-to-face film with another filmmaker. I want to get to know the really cool people in Brisbane. I want to connect with people here who are making films, and so that's sort of what I'm really keen on. So where do we go from here? What you can do is you can like the video if you're here, please. There's 7 of you here. It would really help. It would go a long way, and keep supporting us. I just can't thank you guys enough for what you're doing by tuning in, listening to me, connecting with me, and I really want to value your feedback and your input as well. So guys, like if you have any thoughts or any feedback, I'm not gonna like if you tell me that you're going to cancel me because I talked about a particular filmmaker, you can go to lunch. Like I don't really want to hear about it. But if you have any constructive feedback, or if you're getting sick of a particular format, or if there's anything about the filmmaking or the films that I'm releasing on YouTube that you want to see more of or you want to see less of, let me know. Like put it in the comments, give me feedback, connect with me on social media, and that would be awesome. So I think that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it for now. I'm the sort of topic and the conversation sort of naturally wrapping up, but one more thing I wanted to plug real quick. Aside from the Patreon that we've already talked about that you can go on, it should be in the description, and you can subscribe for free. There's going to be content on there for free that you can enjoy, so it's not going to be a waste of your time. Is my merch collection. So I'm doing merch now. And that merch is on YouTube. It's connected to an external store, but it's all legit. You can check out some of the. I made a really cool Marana shirt starring the Doomed Boys. So if you want to have a Marana shirt with the Doomed Boys, you can go and buy one of those. There's like Late Night 99, which is the normal branding, caps, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts, and I promise I'm never going to do tote bags, so you don't even need to stress about that. And I think it's just fun to have. Like I'm going to get some of the merch, and if I do and it exists, that's all I care about. Like, no, you don't have to go and get a shirt, but if you wanted to, you can. It's there. But that pretty much sums it up for me. We're making movies over here, folks. So stay tuned. There's going to be two movies coming out in October, and then 1 movie every month after that, ongoing into the rest of time. These are the words I'm going to eat when I don't do this. But as far as I can see, we're going to just keep making stuff. We're going to keep talking about it. You guys are awesome. Before I jump off, I'll just read any last comments, and this is your last chance to get a word in if you want to have a chat before I go. Shot by Shot goes, an indie movie I highly recommend is a slasher series called Terrifier. There's currently 3, and the 3rd one is in cinemas. They're my favorite, most brutal films you can watch. It's great. Yeah, I've not seen any of the Terrifier films, and that is partially by choice. Gore doesn't really worry me with films. I've watched, like, I'm really keen to see The Substance, the Demi Moore movie with Dennis Quaid coming out soon, which is like a bananas, super gory body horror film. Like, love my David Cronenberg, but I don't know. I've never really been drawn to the Terrifier films. I think I'm looking forward to your, maybe this is your job. You need to sell me on the Terrifier films when you do your review of them shot by shot. Do that review and sell me on it, because I love my slasher films, but I've not seen them. So you need to convince me. Lachlan goes, Brisbane's a great city. Yes, it is. And Shot by Shot goes, body horror is the only thing that kind of grosses me out. Hey, well, we need to trade. I'll watch your gross slasher film, and you watch my gross body horror genre. So there we go. There's 7 of you here, which is cool. So it's kind of a shame to jump off when you guys are here. But you always got to leave the party early. If you stick around when the party's popping off and stay a little bit longer, you're going to do some weird stuff, and then everyone's going to tune out. So while you're all here, I'm going to get out of here. You guys should go and check out some of my other films. Thank you for tuning into the live. Thank you for being here. We're going to keep making movies, and I've got nothing else to say. Quit while you're ahead. Too right. Woo! Let's get out of here.